There are so many vegans that are mentally ill.
As soon as I asked the question, there was a and you would have thought I had asked if it was okay to torture puppies.
Staging a Muslim anti-terrorist protest.
Look at them out there, the dregs, sucking us dry, carrying Evil around with them.
They were there to protest, excuse me, you take a look the night before, they were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee.
Last night, torch-wielding white supremacists marched through the University of Virginia campus.
One woman was killed in this crowd. 19 people have been hurt. Some are in critical condition.
You had some very bad people in that group. Define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying,
define it for me. Come on, let's go.
Senator McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the alt-left that came charging at us?
I'm wondering if it was actually real life, what I just watched. It was one of the biggest messes that I've ever seen. I can't believe it happened.
Get rid of your cable networks, turn off the radio.
Welcome to MTP Daily. Folks, what I just saw gave me the wrong kind of chills. Honestly, I'm a bit shaken from what I just heard.
Just stopped on roadside to read President's remarks. I nearly threw up.
You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
Do you think that what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
I don't know if I should just laugh. So I have too much eye makeup on to start crying right now. It's disgusting.
At 4 o'clock, we're going to expose evil.
The President of the United States painted white nationalists and members of the alt-right as victims.
4 o'clock, Pete. That's when we'll make it happen. 4 o'clock.
We are about to watch the metamorphosis of a twisted fanatic, poisoned by the gangrene of prejudice. Wherever you are, it happens to be the Twilight Zone.
He's having some problems in his life.
Videos of mine have been demonetized. I'm not getting the same amount of ad revenue that I used to get. Anything about eating disorders, anything about bodybuilding, anything about veganism. Advertisers don't want to put money on those kind of videos.
What you talking about, Cheetah? One look through my channel tells you that's bullshit. Veganism? You can't talk about veganism anymore. A couple videos back I showed Vegan Cheetah's BS. For instance, when I got the notification of 2 videos he made, ex-girlfriend who maced him, and I actually said, more drama, and then I scrolled down to another video that was titled, Why I'm Not Doing Drama Anymore. That was funny.
It's almost my obligation to showcase this and expose situations going on throughout the world.
I've also felt that obligation.
Get rid of your cable networks, turn off the radio, and consume your media, whether that be through a channel such as mine. The evidence out there that Sadiq Khan, the London of Mayor, is actually a Islamic extremist.
Do we have any doubt that if this was a Muslim terror attack, that President Trump would use the words radical Islamic terrorism?
One thing the right likes to label is the Islamic terrorists. They want to associate terrorism with Islam. That's why they use that label. And that's why the Democrats don't. Because we don't want a religious war. It's the right that wants it, because they're mostly Christian.
The Bible gives President Trump the moral authority to use whatever force necessary.
Listen to how he twists words and has you believing something about Islam without the proof.
Most of you have probably seen now, CNN was actually caught staging a Muslim anti-terrorist protest.
What a piece of crap.
This scandal of CNN literally faking news.
When you see Trump's response to this rioting, protesting, notice how he's defensive, as if he's defending his side. And Vegan Cheetah is acting very similar to Trump.
And, spreading what I would call Islamic Muslim propaganda. It looks like they probably paid these people.
He's back to his speculation. It looks like they probably paid these people.
The evidence that the London of Mayor
Yeah, it's going to look like that if you're watching some scum like Alex Jones. These people on the far right, you could call them alt-right, these are like the antithesis of what veganism stands for. And sure enough, Alex Jones has attacked veganism.
Saying vegetarian diets give you cancer and then statins eat holes through your brain even faster. People that eat vegetarian diets culturally are shriveled, are weak, are stupid.
There are so many vegans on the internet that are severely mentally ill.
Oh, and Cheetah's done it too. I totally forgot about that. See, it all lines up. The more I see, the more I think that there is plenty of evidence. He's not even one of us. He's an infiltrator. He came in here and he's already messed up the vegan community. He threw it all off with this drama, making veganism look bad. And now he's trying to influence these teenagers, these young people that like to gossip, and turn them to the dark side.
I'm not evil. But there doesn't seem to be very much we can do about this.
Well, what do you mean?
We have something in this country which makes all of this stuff quite unnecessary.
What's that?
It's a law, Mr. Krangle. We have the law. Now, we like people's help and their support, but interference is quite another matter.
I understand. I understand perfectly. Why, I was an idiot not to have realized it sooner. Of course you people have gotten into the FBI. Stands to reason you would. Why, you've infiltrated every place. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Holmes. You're going to be 2 feet tall.
I'm trying not to be like the cheetah, like the right. I'm specifically criticizing the ones who should be criticized, like the people at those protests. I'm not putting down all Republicans. Only half of them are deplorable. You can't just put a label on a big group of people and stereotype them. That is prejudice. That's what they do. When you got two sides in an ongoing battle, one side reacts to the other side. Both sides are being violent, and that's the thing Trump pointed out in his speech. But what he said wasn't the problem, it's what he didn't say. He did not want to call out the racist group that were these white nationalists. He doesn't want to call them out because those are his people. It's politics. In his administration, he has people associated with the alt-right, even the KKK. How did he become president? Because that kind of stuff is lingered around the United States. It's never going to go away. But who started it? It goes back and forth with all the bad behavior and the attacks. But who started it? Started when the whites brought over slaves. Now these new white people want them to go back. But that's crazy. That's not going to happen. Some people on the right are actually justifying the violence, and that led to a death. Under my video, you can see people who said that they're okay that the woman got killed, crushed between two cars. On purpose. Clearly on purpose.
Americans claiming death to Jews, carrying torches and talking about death to Jews in 2017.
And the president's defending them.
And the president doesn't even address that.
What's going to happen at 4 o'clock?
At 4 o'clock, we're going to expose evil. Strip it bare. Push it out into the light. Dissect it, pinpoint it, eliminate it, exorcise it, denude it, destroy it!
Hell, look at Angie from Happy Healthy Vegan. Her vegan diet made her face sag so much. Stop attacking people. Some people will just never get it, and you have to accept that.
Get rid of your cable networks, turn off the radio.
I will not put up with evil in any form. Communists, subversives, thieves.
And yes, veganism is somewhat of a political ideology, but you can't expect everybody to share the same exact political views that you do.
Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did.
It is incredibly terrifying for people of color. There are people of color right now who are crying. There are Jewish people right now who are afraid, showed up with guns, who were prepared to kill people. You feel vulnerable.
David Duke responded
to the president's remarks just now. Quote, "Thank you, President Trump, for your honesty and courage to tell the truth about Charlottesville and condemn the leftist terrorists." Who resigns over this? Who resigns? Who resigns? Which one of you can't live with yourselves for working for a guy that elicits praise from David Duke?
And I'm not just talking about the right or Republicans, because there's some things I agree with them on. It's not just one side or the other. The truth is somewhere in the middle. And in this case, it's somewhere on the left of middle. Evil survives by lying that they're not evil and projecting evilness onto the other side. It is incredible what they do. And you might have heard this saying that the bigger the lie, the more they believe it. They'll believe that more than the truth. And they know this. This is how Trump won. He used the internet more than any president, and how hate goes viral on social media. He used this. And now he's emboldened all of these alt-right protests, which turns into riots, because these people are so evil that the left shows up there because they're pissed off, because this kind of thing shouldn't be happening in our country in 2017. This is pure racism right out of the 1800s, well, and also the 60s, 50s, 40s. We never outgrew this. They've been there. But Trump has brought all this up.
The white nationalists have now moved on.
Well, and now we have what sounds like a trumpeter in the background there.
Too small to accommodate the crowds. As it turns out, the white supremacist groups are very few in number. I thought it was going to be much more extensive, but you couldn't really figure out because the crowds were all intermingled initially. But when they were marching out of here, there were a group of, I would say, maybe 40, at the most 50 of them. So they're greatly outnumbered by the counter-protesters.
I'm not a fan of Islam. I'm not a fan of any religion. This alt-right group, they weren't even hiding their racism. Think about it. Why were they out there? What did they want?
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us!
Most all of the ones I saw were carrying torches. Some of them had bats in the other hands. They came to cause trouble.
They want black people to go back.
When it comes to the Nazis and white supremacists, they are unambiguously evil. I believe all of us have a moral obligation to call it out.
People like Cheetah and Trump need to decide, what side are they on? There are two sides, and one is evil. And if you don't take action to stand against evil, it will flourish and consume us. We've seen in history that that's how it works. One of the first things is to go vegan. That is a no-brainer. And if Cheetah was already there, he'd know that prejudice is just like how people argue against veganism by saying animals are below us. And that makes a person wonder if the cheetah is really a vegan, or is he an infiltrator? And we've seen in history, infiltration is how the KKK operates. There's bad behavior all over the place, and that's what they use. They show the bad behavior on the other side and show people, see how bad they are, and it makes them look good. This is how Trump operates every day, every tweet. And they do this specifically to hide their own evil.
That's what I'll do. I'll turn all the evil people into little ones. I'll make every evil man 2 feet tall. It's happening, Pete. It's happening right now. They're all turning into tiny little gnomes. It's kind of a celebration.
At 4 o'clock, an evil man made his bed and lay in it. A pot called a kettle black, a stone thrower broke the windows of his glass house. You look for this one under F for fanatic in the Twilight Zone.
The cheetah is prejudging Somewhere he's looking at some Jewish people and what they're doing, something bad, and applying that to all Jewish people. This is just like when people say animals are below humans, so it's okay to eat them. And this tendency to call anyone with darker skin as being below white people. And think about this. Has Vegan Cheetah ever spoken up for animals? For animal rights? Cheetah is currently jumping back and forth between putting out lies about vegans to putting out lies about Jews and blacks, Islamists, and Muslims. Yet he's talking about wanting to take his channel to other places, helpful places, but he's not actually doing it. Well, I know some places I'd like him to go. There's something you can actually do to keep evil from trumping good. Every action you have in this world has an effect. Even the videos you watch, it helps it become more popular, increases visibility, search results. When you watch a video, you're actually voting for it, even the videos you disagree with. When you hate watch a video, you are promoting the spread of that video. The message from this video is, stop watching the Vegan Cheetah and don't mention his name. We can ignore him out of existence. Shift your focus to a higher place.
Can we just move the hell on?
Let's just go back to the premise that this group stands for, this hatred, it's racism. We cannot stand for this or with them.
New Yorkers are saying they have known about this president for decades. His critics claim his stance on racial issues is quite well known, from his birther attacks on President Obama to refusing to accept the innocence of the so-called Central Park Five. Donald Trump, way back in the day, targeted in 4 newspapers this full-page ad. Her memorial service was today. She is the 32-year-old woman protesting against the white supremacists when a driver plowed into a crowd and killed her.
No father should have to do this. And as I listened and to her friends, and hear stories of my daughter and the way she was. She loved people. She wanted equality. She wanted to put down hate.
I will say you this, and perhaps you will suspend belief. I've known him for a long time. I don't always agree with him, but I don't believe there's a hate bone in his body. I do not believe.
Teenagers, black and Latino, wrongly convicted.
Of course I hate these people, and let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
I don't believe there's a hate bone.
A comment by President Trump's evangelical advisor saying God has given the president the moral authority.
Recently prayed for and with President Trump at the White House, laying hands on him.
All the people at the convention and who voted how on the Klan plank. It was that big a deal. When the anti-Klan plank lost by that one vote, 20,000 masked, hooded Klansmen rallied across the Hudson River in New Jersey to mark the moment. They didn't think they'd be able to rally in New York City, not with their robes and their masks. So they crossed over to New Jersey and they showed force, 20,000 of them. 1926, they turned out 50,000 masked, robed Klansmen who marched in formation through Washington, D.C. I still have a hard time believing it's real. The following year, in 1927, there was a Klan rally and march. It started off with a group of fascists, literally fascists, black shirts, who clashed with New York City police, and then that melee was joined by about, according to contemporaneous news coverage, by about 1,000 Klansmen who turned out in New York, in Queens, to march against the police. And they ultimately rioted and fought with police. Nobody was killed. According to news reports at the time, there were 7 men who were arrested at that Klan march in New York. One of them was Fred Trump, who was the father of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has previously responded to reporting about this incident by saying it never happened. Never happened. The whole thing is made up. But there is contemporaneous news coverage, and his father's name does show up as one of the arrestees from that march. And the sins of the father are not the sins of the son. It's not a reason to ignore history and pretend that everything that's happening in our lifetimes is happening for the first time.
They were there to protest, excuse me. You take a look the night before, They were there to
And he
protest
said
the
that-
taking down
You mean
of
Senator
the statue of
McCain
Robert E.
voted
Lee
against
us getting good health care.
They should have been strong. He said that the alt-right is behind these attacks.
Define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying, as
no,
Senator-
define it for me. Come on, let's go. Define
Senator
it.
McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the old left that came charging at him? Excuse me. What about the alt, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers. But you also had people. And you see them come with the black outfits. Very fine people on both sides. And with the baseball you had people in that group. Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue of to them, protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee.
The president was not there to talk about infrastructure today. He was obviously intending as well to talk about this matter today. It was not, apparently, a mistake. And at some point, it's going to have to stop being treated as a surprise. We have been trained to think of as a fringe thing, but it does have a very long history and it does have real force. The president is not messing up here. He did not trip and accidentally praise white supremacists and neo-Nazis and pro-Confederate demonstrators who actually killed somebody this weekend. This was not a screw-up.
We've got a president who sent a big message today to hate groups. I'm going to make it easier for you.
To go and kill people. And listen, if you can't separate a massive threat from a minor threat, you have no business leading.
So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture.
The president.
Is it relational or causal? He caused this.
I think it's both.
Should statues of Robert E. Lee stay up? I would say that's up to a local community or the federal government, depending on where it is located.
That is up to the local town. What he neglected to mention is Charlottesville already decided to take down the statue. With City Councilwoman who first posed a question about this in 2012, which she recalled.
As soon as I asked the question, there was a in the room from the people around me. And you would have thought I had asked if it was okay to torture puppies.
She was also threatened after raising this idea. Look at the right side of this Tucker Carlson screen, where he makes the ridiculous observation that Plato and the Aztecs owned slaves. That's true. Plato also lived 2,300 years ago. And this clumsy attempt at amateur history work, it's not about whether Plato and Jefferson were wrong to own slaves. They were. This is a simple debate trick. If you have an embarrassing position like defending a white supremacist monument, try to get the other side to defend something embarrassing themselves, like Plato or even Aztec slavery. But the violence in Charlottesville was not about Aztec slavery. It was about neo-Nazis defending a white supremacist statue. The account here, you'll see him, he's on the ground, and you have multiple individuals, white protesters there, repeatedly beaten by people in fatigues, 3 and 4 at a time. He's there in the middle. You see him trying to get away, blood on his face. This was an account taken by one Twitter user, a video posted that we got into our newsroom.
Heather Heyer was struck down by a vehicle while exercising her peaceful right to speech.
James Fields Jr. was being attacked as he was getting in his car. I don't blame him for hitting them people.
I just really hate that that girl died, but she had a choice to be there that day.
I praise it because the girl, I found out later on she was a part of the anti-fascist communists, so when a couple of them die, it doesn't bother us.